Locally, protesters in Boston pepper sprayed by police. A peaceful demonstration took a sudden turn when demonstrators rushed towards a local police station. This all happened just about 3 hours ago. Good evening, I'm Vanessa Welch.
Hey everybody, I'm Scott McDonald in for Mark tonight on Boston 25 News at 5 and 6. We were live as hundreds of protesters took part in this protest at Peters Park in Boston's South End, calling for an end to police brutality following the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis.
But after our newscast at 6, part of the crowd moved down Washington Street towards District D4 on Harrison Ave. Boston 25 News reporter Wale Aliyu was there. He was in the middle of it as several demonstrators were arrested.
Either walking them or carrying them. An already fired up crowd screamed at officers as they took protesters into the police station. Police didn't have very far to travel after this video shows them pushing back and pepper spraying several people. I was broadcasting live on Twitter when an already bad situation began to get worse. From a different angle, you can see as a frightened crowd runs frantically away from the police. Some protesters even holding their friends back.
You're gonna get hurt. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, stay away. Please stay away. I don't want you to get pepper sprayed in the face.
Watch my back. I'm under attack. You got my back.
The protest did begin peaceful. You can see from Sky 25 thousands gathering at Peters Park.
Case after case after case after case after case. Last time I checked, murder was illegal.
Holding signs like "I can't breathe" and "Stop killing us."
Demanding the immediate prosecution of all the police responsible for the death of George Floyd, as well as the families of Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, Breonna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky, and so many others, and especially with the families right here in the Boston community who've lost their loved ones like Terrence Coleman.
While mass action against police brutality wanted a safe protest,
We're going to have a safe march.
it didn't take long before people started spraying the police station and things started getting out of hand.
And we did check in with police. They said they were bringing as many resources here as possible. They wouldn't confirm exactly how many arrests there were. We witnessed 2. Some of the people here said they witnessed a couple more. For now, that's the very latest in the South End. Wale Aliyu, Boston 25 News. Justice. And it's interesting, we talk a lot about community policing, right? I have here with me the Newton Chief McDonald, who's here with me. And we were just chatting earlier, Chief. As these crowds start to gather, we've seen a lot happening around the country. Do you have a message to the community who's going to gather today in this protest?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's important that everybody continue to pull together peacefully. Obviously, things don't get fixed overnight. There's a lot of important issues that have been brought to the forefront with the tragic murder of George Floyd. And so I support everybody's right to peacefully demonstrate, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to greet some folks and let them know that I and the men and women who work here at the department are also we want racial justice. I don't know what it's like to be a black man in America, but and there's been some well-publicized incidents even here in my city. But all I can tell people is that my intention is to work hard every day and to keep engaging with the community and hopefully building bridges. You know, unfortunately, we had this now going on 4-month situation with COVID-19, which kind of sort of blunts some momentum on different endeavors that we were working on with certain groups in the community. But we'll be picking up those pieces and even pushing harder.
And we know you do not have all of the answers, but we have seen some protests and some rallies get out of hand. Is there a way of policing that can help diminish the amount of anger and hostility in the protests? I've seen some communities, the police will walk with the protesters, they'll engage with them. What is the plan here in Newton?
Well, today, you know, we want people to demonstrate and protest and state their piece in an environment where they don't see a lot of police looking over their shoulder. We do have resources here in case, like, elements of folks who would like to express themselves in a violent manner show up. The folks who organize this, they're organizing for some important reasons. They want to pay first and foremost homage to George Floyd, but also to express the fact that, hey, you know what? work has to be done. Work has to be done every day. Work has to be done consistently. And some things have to change in order that racial justice is served and that everybody feels that equality. One of the things that has always bothered me since I became chief, I've had several people tell me that of the talk with their black son or that, you know, hey, be careful around the police, be careful around the police. And I understand it, but it still breaks my heart. And we like to believe in Newton that we are a good police department, but all I can guarantee is that we're going to continue training and continuing the dialogue and continuing trying to learn.
Still a lot of work to be done. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. And it says a lot that you're here, so we thank you for that. So you just heard from Chief McDonald there. There are probably a couple dozen people who've already started gathering here at the police station. Like I said, they will line up Washington Street, and they will be ready to protest. So we don't know what we expect to see today, but you do see some police out here. And the plan, as you just heard from the chief, is that they will engage which we hope will help to keep things peaceful. Guys, I'll send it back to you. Chris and Vanessa, when we saw you at 4 o'clock, there were a couple dozen people out here. Now it's safe to say there's a couple hundred people out here. You can take a look, all ages, even the mayor's out here. There's a lot of people gathering and lining up the streets here at the Newton Police Station here on Washington Street. The plan is to line up the entire street headed toward Newtonville. I want to talk with a couple of people I found here. This is Elizabeth and Gunnar. And I want to ask you guys, what made you guys, have you guys been to a lot of protests thus far, or first one?
Kind of first one for me. I don't know about you.
I've done some protests for the against school violence and gun control, for gun control and after the school shootings.
Absolutely. And why was this issue an important issue for you guys to get out of your house for, either one of you?
Because we think that some people were being kind of bad to black people, and we want those black people to be supported. So, yeah.
Well, how old are you, Gunnar?
I'm 10.
10 years old. Can I ask where you learned that from? Where did you learn that? Is that something Mom taught you? How did you learn that? Is that something you just felt?
Sometimes that I just kind of felt that, and also sometimes I watch some of the news and I know what's kind of going on, and my parents also kind of feel the same way, so I kind of learned that from them too.
So Mom, it sounds like you're doing something right, at least. When you hear your son say that, what do you think?
I feel proud of him for wanting to come here today, and I myself really hope that there's a call for reform of the police practices so that this doesn't have to be directed at, I don't want it to be set up as a dichotomy that people are against the police. I want the police to be able to feel proud of the work they do, and in order for that to happen, we need to reform how we do policing. So I've been reading up on the 8 Can't Wait, which is 8 forms of reform that would stop quite a bit of the killing and violence that happens to people. That's just not fair and not right, and I don't think any of us want that to be happening.
Thank you so much for you guys' time, and as you look around, you see hundreds of people here already. So you guys came out, you guys send your message, and Mom, thank you so much for teaching your kid at least something that you know that he could take with us, because guys, at the end of the day, it's not that hard. It starts with the parents, right? So what are we teaching our kids? And there's a great example right there. Take a look at this. This is about 1,000 people on the city steps, the City Hall in Newton. Very powerful images right now. Let's take a listen. They are literally saying, I can't breathe. Take a listen.
I can't breathe.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
So many people on the steps of the City Hall right now. They have been doing this for the last 8 minutes and 46 seconds. At this point, they are standing up. But this was an absolute, what you would call a die-in. Very passionate, very passionate crowds right now. You heard us earlier. We talked to the mayor. We've spoken to the chief of police. And we've spoken to a couple people out here who really want the message heard that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. They are passionately pleading and protesting in honor of George Floyd. Sir, can I stop you for a second? I know you're videotaping. I want you to just tell us why it's important for you to be out here right now participating in this die-in.
One, I'm black. I'm half white, half black. So I grew up in Newton, and it means a lot. It's amazing what's going on to see white, black, whatever people out here, and it's just important. I had to be out here.
I can tell your eyes are already starting to water. This is an emotional moment. We literally just witnessed hundreds of people on the steps lying down, saying the words, "I can't breathe."
What it would be like to be on the ground for 8 and almost 9 minutes, saying that you can't breathe. So, you know, you got to put yourself in, put it into perspective. What if this was you? Anybody. It could be anybody.
I really want you, as you mentioned, you are half black, half white. I really want you to explain to the viewers the tears in your eyes right now. Why does this mean so much to you?
I just think we all have to do our part in this, and it has to stop. It's sickening to watch all the time, every day. So.
What's your name, sir?
Thomas.
Thomas, thank you so much for your time. Words from one man, Thomas, there. But as you can see, there are hundreds and hundreds of more people here. Same passion, same tears in their eyes for some of them. This means a lot, guys. This means a lot.
You can tell by Wale's impassioned speech right there. And just talking with this gentleman, it was very moving. And we've seen die-ins almost daily, really, as these protests have unfolded. 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Just think about that, as he said. It was such a long time for all of them to chant and then be silent at times. Really makes you reflect and realize just how devastating that was.
It does. Powerful images there from Wale to see so many different types of people coming together with one common cause, one common goal. We all want to end racism. We've just had so many wonderful reports from Wale, and we're going to keep those going throughout this newscast. Wale, every time that we check back in with you, you have someone else just honestly sharing their feelings, passionately sharing their feelings. And I understand you've just witnessed a 17-year-old girl addressing a crowd with some remarkable energy tonight.
I got to tell you guys, it's been a challenging couple weeks for myself and for a lot of people I know and for a lot of people in this community. But you know what? I learned something today here in Newton. I learned the hope that is in the youth and the energy of the youth. I want you to look behind me. This protest is actually just now wrapping up for the most part, but I want you to look at the faces. Look at the faces that are here. I don't think any of these people are over 18. I may be wrong, but most of these kids are teenagers. And they just spoke with such passion. I just wish you guys were here to witness it. These are kids of all, obviously, races, ethnicities, but they had a message. They had a very strong message. One of those teenagers is over here. Imani, can you come over here for a second? We have our sound bite in a little bit, but I just want you to tell our viewers right now some of what you had to share with the audience here.
Sure. So my main point was that, here in Newton there are a lot of white people. It's the white community. I think it's important for everyone here to know that we don't need white allies. We need white co-conspirators. We need people just like with the Underground Railroad, with abolitionists. We need white people who are willing to put something on the line for our black lives so that we can breathe, so that we can finally be free. So it's important for everyone here to know that with the white privilege that they have, with the money, with the cars, with the opportunity, with working from home even, people need to be able to give something up so that it can't just be the oppressed that's fighting the oppressor. It can't just be the people who survived the fire to then turn around and fight the fire. It needs to be people on the outside that are willing to help us, and so that we can finally be proud, be black, and be beautiful.
Imani, hang with me for 2 seconds, okay? Can you just hang with me? I want you guys to listen. You heard her live, so you can hear how amazing and how well-spoken she is. I want you to hear her as she addresses the crowd. This is just a few minutes ago. Take a listen.
We don't need people to know the vocabulary. We don't need to know the latest people who died.
We need to know if you're going to put yourself on the line. We need to know if you are going to sacrifice something. I'm tired. I am tired. I am tired.
Imani, our reviewers just heard you tell us how tired you are. I get it. A lot of people are tired. You're only 17, you told me. This rally was teen-led, it looked like. It was all teenagers. How do we turn that tired feeling that so many of us are feeling right now, out of energy, just drained, how do we turn that into something impactful and turn that passion into a movement?
Sure. I think, first of all, we need to educate ourselves because ignorance is not an excuse. I think that we all need to know that these are not isolated tragedies. This has gone back since slavery, even before then. So we need to make sure that we know that there is a system in America that is working against black people to protect white people and their property. We need to be sure that this system is working exactly how it's supposed to. We need to break down the system and build a new one up to encompass all people, all skin shades, all genders, everything. And I think what's really important is to notice how we need more black people in legislation. We need more black people in all sceneries. And until we break the system down, we can't do that because black people are being turned away every which way. And so I think it's important to vote to get people who are, disenfranchised or stripped of their voices. I think it's time for them to be heard now. Because like you're saying, I'm 17 and it's not that hard to educate myself. It's not that hard to speak in front of so many people. It's not that hard to just lift a finger, go on social media and tell people what is going on. And I think that's important, and this goes back to the co-conspirator thing. We need to be able to give something up so that everyone is uplifted and heard in a new America, not the old America.
Imani, you're so well-spoken. My producers are going to let me just get one more question in, just because you're so good.
Sure.
You're 17. Yes. Like I said, a lot of these kids are 17.
Yes.
What have you been reading? How do you know what you know? Is it what you're reading? Is it how have you learned what you learned, and how can other people kind of get on board and learn some of what you have been educated on yourself?
I think I need to start with my mom, of course. My mom is a single black woman. She is strong, she is beautiful, she is proud to be black. And I think that, like many black families, the matriarch is the root of knowledge and the root of resiliency. So it started there when I was born. It also, just going into school, I had a lot of white teachers, and they've been telling me some pretty sketchy things, not the whole truth. And so I know that I need to research and find my own truth within myself. And now I'm 17, I'm a junior, and I'm literally about to have my first black teacher as a senior next year in African American literature. And so I think it's important for people to read, to watch videos. My favorite book is called The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. I actually met her this past February. It was amazing. I almost passed out. So I think books like hers, it teaches us that this is not anything new. I also think that anything by James Baldwin, if you listen to Malcolm X speeches, if you listen to Martin say things, if you listen to Toni Morrison, if you listen to Angela Davis, if you listen to anybody who is willing to tell you something, then that can create change.
Oh my gosh, Imani, there's so many people watching and so many people.
I know, what happened?
Listen, there's so many people clapping for you right now here, but at home right now. At home right now, there's so many people clapping for you. Why? Because you have a voice and you are using it. So I want to thank you. Thank you so much for using it. Thank you so much. And guys, listen, it's not that hard, to be honest with you. And there's a shirt. I'm with him. That's fine. You've heard the Martins, the Malcolms. But this is a new generation of people that are speaking out. And it can't just be 17-year-old Imani. It's got to be everybody at this point. It's got to be everybody reading some of these books. It's got to be everybody educating themselves. And most importantly, their children. Guys, I'm going to send it back to you.
Wale, that was simply outstanding. It blew me away. She's 17, yes. Well beyond her years, obviously. That girl is a leader, first and foremost. And I'll tell you what she had to say, her passion, it's infectious. It's great to see.
It was incredible to see. And you've got to also commend her mom. You can tell she is being raised right. I love what she said, that she wants us to come alongside her. She also said, Wale, over and over how tired she is. And I feel like people are finally listening. I feel like we are finally waking up and ready to be a part of this positive change. But incredible reporting tonight, bringing us some really, really powerful stuff, Wale. Thank you so much.
They met up here at the police station. They lined up the entire streets, and then they marched, and they marched. And it may sound like a regular protest, but what made this one different is how it was the youth leading the way.
Hands up, don't shoot!
A simple chant.
Hands up, don't shoot!
Ended when 17-year-old Imani Fonfield got up, walked in the middle of the street, and lied face down with her hands behind her back in honor of George Floyd. In that moment, in front of Newton City Hall, hundreds of protesters joined, one by one, for the die-in. After 8 minutes and 46 seconds,
you got to put yourself in, put it into perspective. What if this was you?
One by one, dozens of teenagers gave their own heartfelt plea.
We don't need people to know the vocabulary. We don't need to know the latest people who died. We need to know if you're going to put yourself on the line. We need to know if you are going to sacrifice something. I'm tired. I am tired. I am tired.
The rally after a 1.5 mile march from the police station.
I've had several people tell me that of the talk with their black son, or that, you know, hey, be careful around the police, be careful around the police. And I understand it, but it still breaks my heart. And we like to believe in Newton that we are a good police department, but all I can guarantee is that we're going to continue training.
Newton PD recently came under fire after Northeastern's former athletic director, Tim Duncan, says he was racially profiled and incorrectly stopped with guns drawn by several officers 5 days before George Floyd's death.
We've immediately started a review of our use of force standards. This is absolutely a time when all of us need to be on the streets protesting and saying that Black lives matter.
While the mayor and police chief stood with the protesters, it was a message of this 10-year-old and his mom that showed how easy it is to teach right versus wrong.
We think that some people were being kind of bad to Black people, and we want those Black people to be supported.
But for Fonfield, it will take more than just education.
With the white privilege that they have, with the money, with the cars, with the opportunity, with working from home even, people need to be able to give something up so that it can't just be the oppressed that's fighting the oppressor. It can't just be the people who survived the fire to then turn around and fight the fire. It needs to be people on the outside that are willing to help us.
And it's been a very challenging week for so many of us. What gave me some hope, at least, is hearing from some of those young men and young women, because that let us know that there are a lot of parents out there teaching their kids the right way. For now, that's very latest here in Newton. Wale Aliyu, Boston 25 News.
For months, people have been taking to the streets across the nation, demanding racial justice and police reform following George Floyd's death. We're seeing renewed cries for justice after Jacob Blake was shot in the back by police in Wisconsin. His family now says he's paralyzed from the waist down.
Of course, locally, we have seen protests and rallies for the Black Lives Matter movement and calling for police reform. We have also seen rallies supporting law enforcement. So we wanted to go beyond the events to get some understanding of the people who show up on both sides.
So Boston 25 News reporter Wale Aliyu invited people from each side to meet, talk, and listen.
Two different messages. And sometimes when they cross paths, you see scenes like this one in small-town Holbrook last week. A lot of yelling and not a lot of listening, so we decided to listen.
This is not fun.
We met with these two men who said they have been to dozens of protests this year supporting Black lives and will also be going to the March on Washington in D.C. Friday.
We could be doing many other things. I've never been to Holbrook before.
We also met with the president and VP of America Backs the Blue, who spent hours on their quickly growing Facebook group helping publicize different Back the Blue events that smaller groups may organize.
Ultimately, it was to become a refuge for police officers' families, to give them a place to go to see messages of support, encouragement, love. We don't allow politics, regardless.
First question for both groups, why?
I'm not stopping until we abolish every mindset and system that actively oppresses us.
I feel the police need our love and support.
America Backs the Blue says they can monitor social media, but not who shows up to rallies.
I'll nail on your neck. How's that?
Yeah, that's uncalled for. All we can speak about is our page. If she had made a comment like that on our page, out the door, blocked, gone.
These men say they showed up with a few friends to peacefully give Holbrook residents a different voice, but were attacked verbally and in some ways physically.
If that was us,
acting in that manner in those videos, how would we be perceived? Would we have even made it out of Holbrook?
In talking with both groups, it became very apparent their way of thinking was very different.
If you say Blue Lives Matter, then you are totally against Black Lives Matter. It's like the opposite. So I can't say whether that's true or not. I don't know. But we're not Blue Lives Matter. We're back to blue. Again, any race of police officer. If you're a police officer, we back.
It's not about cops. Why do we have to make it about cops? A blue life is not a real thing. That's a sad person, a blue life. And that's honestly most probably a black person in America.
But they'll get word of our rally and come out and do a counter protest. Like, I mean, I can speak for America Backs the Blue. We don't do that.
I'm frustrated and we're tired. And I just feel like I have a moral obligation to do so. And I apologize for getting worked up, but it's just like, it's like, why are we even doing this? We know why we're doing it, but why are we doing it in 2020?
The activists say if Back the Blue protesters want to support police despite hateful people in their group, then they should be able to support the families of unarmed black people killed by police and other black families fearful of interacting with police.
We're not going to these Back the Blue rallies and pulling up to these towns and saying negative things about the police officers in that town. We're simply saying that we don't feel like right now is the best time to be having these demonstrations while there are still families that are directly dealing with the heartbreak that has come from the hands of police brutality. We feel like it's a slap in the face.
We did find some similarities. Both groups agree not all cops are bad and that we need to look into ways police can be reformed. And when asked what would it take to move forward?
To not be treated as inferior.
Both groups agreed to start with civil conversations on the issues.
And let's pick them apart one by one. What can we do to solve this problem? And there's going to be some compromise. There's going to be give and take.
There's no way to completely bring everybody together. I just think that's impossible. We're just all built different with different thoughts and feelings. However, if we can get a good majority of people to just the bare minimum understand when something is right and when something is wrong, that's a good start.
In Holbrook, Wale Aliyu, Boston 25 News.